Hi, welcome to the Walking Word. My name is Annie, where we go through the Holy Bible in a year as part of discipling. We're currently reading from the book of Numbers. We're in chapter 33, the stages of the journey. The following are the stages by which the Israelites journeyed up by companies from the land of Egypt under the guidance of Moses and Aaron. By the Lord's command, Moses recorded the starting places of the various stages, the starting places of the successive stages, and these were the stages. Then remember, at each stage, uh, during the day, the Lord would rise up as a cloud. During the night, the Lord would move as a pillar of fire. That's how they knew where they were to settle. Verse 3. They set out from Ramses in the first month, on the 15th day of the first month, on the Passover morning, meaning the Israelites went forth in triumph in view of all Egypt, while the Egyptians buried their firstborn, all of whom the Lord had struck down. On their gods too, the Lord executed judgments. From Egypt to Sinai was the first stage. Setting out from Ramses, the Israelites camped at Succoth. Remember, Succoth is where Jacob had built the booths. Even Succoth actually means booths. Setting out from Succoth, they camped at Etham near the edge of the desert. Setting out from Etham, they turned back to Hahiroth, which is opposite Baal Zephon, and they camped opposite Migdol. Setting out from Pi Hahiroth, they crossed over through the sea into the desert. After a 3 days journey into the desert of Etham, they camped at Mara. You remember Mara, bitter water? Bitter water will also see the name Mara come up in the book of Ruth, where Naomi is lamenting. But that was the meaning of the name Mara. Setting out from Mara, they camped at Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there. Setting out from Elim, they camped beside the Red Sea. Setting out from the Red Sea, they camped in the desert of Sin. Setting out from the desert of Sin, they camped at Dokpa. Setting out from Dofka, they camped at Alush. Setting out from Alush, they camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. Setting out from Rephidim, they camped in the desert of Sinai. From Sinai, they now started moving towards Kadesh. Setting out from the desert of Sinai, they camped at Kibroth Hatava. Setting out from Kibroth Hatava, they camped at Hazeroth. Setting out from Hazeroth, they camped at Rithma. Setting out from Rithma, they camped at Rimon Perez. Setting out from Rimon Perez, they camped at Libna. Setting out from Libna, they camped at Risa. Setting out from Risa, they camped at Kehelatha. Setting out from Kehelatha, they camped at Mount Sephar. Setting out from Mount Sephar, they camped at Harada. Setting out from Harada, they camped at Makeloth. Setting out from Makeloth, they camped at Tahath. Setting out from Tahath, they camped at Terah. Setting out from Terah, they camped at Mithka. Setting out from Mithka, they camped at Hashmona. Setting out from Hashmona, now they're moving on towards Mount Hor. Setting out from, we're in verse 30, setting out from Hashmona, they camped at Moseroth. Setting out from Moseroth, they camped at Benejakan. Setting out from Benejakan, they camped at Mount Gidgad. Setting out from Mount Gidgad, they camped at Jotbatha. Setting out from Jotbatha, they camped at Abrona. Setting out from Abrona, they camped at Ezion Geber. Setting out from Ezion Geber, they camped in the desert of Sin at Kadesh. Now we're moving from Kadesh towards Mount Hor. They camped at desert of Zin at Kadesh. Setting out from Kadesh, they camped at Mount Hor on the border of the land of Edom. Remember, Edom are the descendants of Esau, who had refused for them to pass through. Aaron, the priest, ascended Mount Hor at the Lord's command, and there he died in the 14th year from the departure of the Israelites from the land of Egypt, and on the first day of the 15th month. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. Now when the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negeb in the land of Canaan, heard that the Israelites were coming, That's where the drama was, right? Setting out from Mount Hor, they camped at Zalmona. Setting out from Zalmona, they camped at Punon. Setting out from Punon, they camped at Oboth. Setting out from Oboth, they camped at Ai Abarim and on the border of Moab. Setting out from Ai Abarim, they camped at Dibon Gad. Setting out from Dibon Gad, they camped at Almon Diplathaim. Setting out from Almon Diplathaim, they camped in Abarim Mountains opposite Nebo. Setting out from Abarim Mountains, they camped in the plains of Moab along the Jericho stretch of the Jordan. Their camp along the Jordan on the plains of Moab extended to Beth Jeshimoth and Abel Shittim. Now, this is where there was a conquest and division of Canaan. Then the Lord spoke to Moses on the plains of Moab beside the Jericho stretch of the Jordan and said to him, Tell the Israelites, when you across the Jordan into the land of Canaan, drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you, destroy all their stone figures, molten images, demolish all their high places, all their pagan worship, bring it down. You shall take possession of the land and settle in it, for I have given you the land as your property. You shall apportion the land amongst yourself by lot, clan by clan, assigning a large heritage to the larger group and a small heritage to the smaller group. Wherever everyone's lot falls, there shall his property be with him and his ancestral tribe. But if you do not drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, those whom you allow to remain will become as barbs in your eyes and thorns in your sides. And they will harass you in the country where you live, and I will treat you as I had intended to treat them. Man, if you don't finish these people, if you don't finish this wickedness, the same people you allow to live will be, they're the ones who'll come and harm you. So this is why even when God is dealing with you and he's purging out unrighteousness out of you, it goes flat. It goes flat. You lose all appetite for some sinful things that you used to do in the past. And now he lays it all flat. And it's always for your good. It is always for your good. And it's the same thing, God is warning the Israelites. If you don't complete it, so this is what the Lord is also teaching the Israelites, that if you do not finish the wickedness amongst you, it will always keep cropping up. We continue chapter 34, where we're now looking at the boundaries and what they're conquering.